We have a scene that has two scene states, one daytime and one nighttime, and two cameras. We want to render both those cameras using a different scene state for each camera. From the Application button, click Open, navigate to the Chapter 13 subdirectory, and open the file Chapter 13 Batch Rendering 01.max. From the Rendering menu, choose the Batch Render from the drop-down. This opens the Batch Render dialog. Batch rendering allows you to use a single interface to queue up multiple cameras and allows you to assign scene states to each camera, as well as use different rendering presets for each camera. This gives you a lot of flexibility when working with single scene files in which you have several scene states that you need to render. On the upper left-hand side, click the Add button. You'll notice that there's now a View 01 option in the render queue. If we look at the bottom of the dialog box, we'll see that we have options to change the name of this particular entry, the output path. We can change the rendering resolution if we want, and we can set the camera, scene states, and rendering presets that we'll use for this particular entry in the render queue. In the name entry, type in Daylight Cam, then press Enter to accept the name change. Click the X to the right of the output path to clear the entry. So regardless of what output path was in the file, we can clear it and put this rendering where we want. Go ahead and click the output path options now, and navigate to the Render Output directory inside of the Understanding 3D Project folder. In the file name area, type in daylightcam.png, then click Save to close the dialog and return to the batch renderer. In the camera options, select Camera 1 from the drop-down list. This will set the entry in the queue to render Camera 1 from the scene. In the Scene States drop-down, choose the Daylight Scene State. This will set the parameters of the scene to the parameters we saved in the Daylight Scene State when this camera renders. Then in the Presets drop-down, select the Test Render preset. This will render using the render settings that have been configured in the Test Render preset. We've set up our Daylight Cam to render using Camera 1 with the scene state set to Daylight, and it will render using the Test Render rendering preset options. Now go ahead and click the Add button one more time. This will create a new entry in our batch render queue. Name this entry Night Cam, then press Enter. Click the X to clear the output path entry. Then click on the output path option. In the dialog, navigate to the Render Output directory. Name the file nightcam.png. and press Save to close the dialog and return to the batch render window. From the camera drop-down, this time choose Camera 2 and select the Night Scene State from the Scene States drop-down. From the Preset drop-down, choose the Test Render preset option. Before we render this, let's go ahead and save the file with an incremental file name. Click on the Application button, Save As. From the dialog, click the Increment on Save button. Click back in the Batch Render dialog and let's render this queue. At the bottom right, you'll see a Render button. Go ahead and click the Render button to start the rendering process. What's going to happen is the batch render will step through the render queue and render each entry one after the next.